It's a story I'm familiar with myself. Your husband dies, you have young children, and life goes on, kind of. Sandi Amorello is here with her new book, The Irreverent Widow, shockingly true tales of love, death, and dating with children in tow. And Sandi Amorello is here. Welcome, Sandi.
Hi.
I think I'm not the only one who's going to identify this on many, many levels, but certainly being a widow myself. And I have to say, I thought my husband was handsome. Oh, my gosh. Your husband, Drew.
Your husband was handsome.
Yes, he was. But, oh, my gosh, your husband, Drew, was just absolutely drop-dead handsome. And you've got these pictures in the book, and there's one that says, this looks like somebody who's terminally ill. What happened to him? You found out it's been a little bit, 11 years now?
It was just 10 years this Christmas, and pretty much, you know, it was the new millennium. We had our 1999 big celebration with our little kids, and a couple months later, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he had just turned 40.
Oh, my gosh.
So, and our youngest was 1. So, of course, that's the least, you know, whatever, last thing you ever expect to happen.
You talk about grief, which is something I identify with, too, because a lot of people that we meet in this, you know, dating world have divorced somebody, so they're like, well, rid of them.
Right.
And they have these horrible things to say about these people. But you and I came from existence where we were really happy, and we really liked these people, and they were wonderful to have around. So the grief is really just, it's numbing, really.
It is, and I think it's it makes it harder, I think, to kind of jump back in and find someone new. And it also, you know, I have many divorced friends who I love divorced people, but I've had, you know, a few times when someone said, oh, you know, I wish my husband were just dead.
Yeah.
It's like, really? So yeah, it's a whole different thing. I think you're going through a different process. Even if you didn't have a perfect marriage, you still like the person, as you said, and love them.
Your kids were really, really young. You had a cute little story in there at one point. Your husband's been dead all of 48 hours, and your older son comes up to you and says, Mom, can we stop being sad now?
Yeah, that was pretty much my wake-up call, because, you know, I think at that time I pretty much couldn't get out from under the covers, and it was probably 2 days after the funeral, maybe, and yeah, I just remember he came in, his little cute 7-year-old self, and said, "Come," and you know, in kids' brains, it's like, okay, let's get on with it. You're the happy mom. You know, they don't want to see you in bed crying. So I think learning how to, you know, you have to express, you know, go through your own period of grief, and you can't kind of shove that aside, but you have to also be able to get up and keep making French toast for the kids and have life going on.
She's making herself breakfast, and then one of the kids, she's so happy, and she's finally getting back on her feet, and then one of your kids comes along and grabs the sausage, and that just set you off.
Like, that was a lot of years later, too.
Yeah,
like, I think that's when you realize you just want someone, you miss kind of having that person who has your back, you know, or in that particular case, it was kind of like, just save me one crummy little, you know, reconstituted, cheap, you know, unhealthy sausage.
How have your kids been about dating? How do they feel about
me dating?
Yeah.
Because they're old enough to date.
I know. No dating.
They tell me I've ruined dating for them because of my standards. They've been, you know, I think they've probably, sometimes we've had the reverse situation, you know, of teenagers and they're going through their mom dating, rather than me dealing with them dating. I haven't introduced them to that many people. They've witnessed many things, a few things I probably wish that they might not have witnessed, but I've been pretty, you know, haven't had people moving into our house or something like that, but I think it's really hard. I think one of the toughest things being widowed as opposed to being in a divorce situation is that you never get, like I say, please God, like I wish I just had an ex-husband to take the kids on a Wednesday night or on a weekend or for a school vacation, so you can actually kind of have someone come over without having them be part of the family or having to pay, you know, a nanny or something to take your kids somewhere. So,
at what point did you find humor in it? Because I guess when I was reading your book, I was sort of identifying with it, and some of it is funny. I can remember somebody saying to me at one point, well, you can always replace your husband, you can never replace your children's father. And I thought, well, that's true, but it's not like you really replace your husband either.
Yeah, and I think I've thought that too. I mean, you kind of, in some ways, I've thought, well, you know, I'm probably in a little bit better position because you can eventually maybe fall in love with someone new, but your kids will never have a new dad.
So I was going to say, when did you find humor in it?
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But yeah, I mean, thank goodness I've always had good sense of humor, and Drew had a great sense of humor, and he used to be able to make jokes even when we were at Dana-Farber. And I thought, you know, if he could be finding humor in these, like, you know, dark kinds of things, I knew I needed, and had his permission certainly, to keep doing that and living my life that way. I think I love to say humor is the ultimate antidepressant. Antidepressants have never worked for me, so thank God I have a sense of humor, and I think if you can find those little things in whatever you're going through, you know, that's how you pull yourself out of it and get through every day.
You had a couple of years to kind of deal with his death. I mean, pancreatic cancer is onerous and, you know, horrible disease. I mean, did you talk about your future, the future of the children?
Oh, goodness, no. I think we were just in total denial. You know, we just always had that hope. We never, you know, there was one point where I knew he wanted me to find someone new someday. So here I am, sweetie, you know, 10 years later. I have not found my next Prince Charming, but I'm in a really happy place in my life. I've gone through quite a dating, you know, litany of...
Have you tried the Match.com and all that stuff?
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
Yes, you know, I'm like an alcoholic. It's kind of like
crazy.
I go off of it,
I'm with my friend the other night, and she's doing this, and look at this one, and look at that one. I'm going, oh, I can't even do what this is.
Well, you should try it, because, you know, I go off of it, and then, you know, 8 months or a year goes by, and then I say to my friends, oh my God, I've fallen back off the wagon, you know, I'm back on there, and then I have some other tragic dating experience. My daughter said to me recently, you know, Mom, nothing good ever comes of this, but I do get a lot of good news stories to write about. So,
a lot of
it's a good place to gather, and some men love to provide material. So, it's you know, I have met a lot of. I think in the beginning I was afraid I wouldn't meet nice. You know, that there were none of nice men in the world. What I've realized is there are a lot of nice men out there. I think the hard part is coming to terms with the fact that it's really hard to find that kind of magical, you know, combination. And once you know what that feels like, it's hard to settle.
Do men feel, you know, put off or intimidated by the fact that you are widowed and they can't measure up?
Oh, probably sometimes. I'm sure they're intimidated by a lot of things, but that's, you know, I think you have to keep your standards up and not fall down.
Yeah, it's not easy. Well, the book is really very, very cute and sweet and heartbreaking and funny at the same time, so appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
The Irreverent Widow, Sandi Amorello.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and that is it for Greater Boston. Tomorrow night, former WCVB TV reporter and wife of Senator Scott Brown, Gail Huff, joins us to reflect on life in Washington and on their whirlwind tour there. That's tomorrow at 7. I'm Emily Rooney. Thanks for watching.